said he did.
He liked a bunch of the posts on it. I saw it earlier.
He probably thought that was the same thing.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people do that. I'll be like, yo, dude, do me a favor, like this page. They'll like all the posts and shit. And I'll be like, but you didn't like the page, bro. It's starting to get up there in numbers, though. I mean, we jumped over. We're at like 220 or 220 something, I think.
Yeah.
Y'all got an Instagram for it?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yes, sir.
Just waiting for Facebook to see the video.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, all that crap. Next thing is we got to get a website.
Yeah, we're going to do that, too, once we start selling shirts.
That's the next thing. By the time we go to that fight, we want to have shirts out. Because we use the death row picture for our logo and shit.
Okay. Like how, like y'all faces?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We just put our faces in it and then put knockouts and 3 counts in the middle where it had like the death row rocker on it.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope.
Hence why there's a Pac song on the intro now. That was one thing I wish we could have had by the time we were at that con was like business cards and shit, because we had so many people that we were like, yo, dude, listen to this, and had a bunch of people like the page. But if we'd have had them cards, it would have been a little bit easier. Yeah. But we'll get that going next.
Yeah, instead of those ugly ass T-shirts.
Hate ass motherfucker.
Man, I don't like that logo. You know,
we can change that bitch too, but for now
we need to.
But for now, that's what we got.
Like right now.
Because that's what I sent over to Joe for the flyer for the fight. So right now, that's what we got.
That's just garbage. We need an icon logo.
We got that what we're gonna use for that is the that thing that's on the Instagram, because that's easier to put on somebody's shorts too. Because we're gonna start sponsoring people too.
You should do like KO and 3Co.
Well, that's what's inside the it's like a little octagon looking thing, and it says KO and 3 counts on it. So that way, it's a smaller thing because I don't want to take up too much room on somebody's shorts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Knockouts and 3 Counts. As you can see, as I'm always saying, apparently Kev's mom doesn't love him, but apparently our co-hosts don't love us anymore, because in the studio with me this week, it's just me and Tony Thunder solo.
It's just us. You did the Devin, though. You did the ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe I jocked his shit for a day. Hop off.
Oh.
All right. And in the studio, we have Andre Sanders, fresh off his win this past weekend at Motor City Casino. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourselves?
Can't complain too much. You got any social media, anything like that you want to throw out?
Oh, yeah. So definitely follow me at Instagram. That's pretty much the only one I use. Napoleon721, NAPOLEON 721. Sometimes I forget how to spell it. It's not my real name, but, you know, it is what it is.
Hey, man, it works.
Yeah, it does.
What's your social media, man?
As always, man, you can find me on Facebook at Kyle Collison. On Instagram, Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at Detroit Knockout, at Detroit NOKOUT. And Tony, what about you, bro?
I'm Tony Thunder everywhere except Twitter. I'm still trying to find a motherfucker who hasn't tweeted ever, but he got my name on there. I don't know how he got my name, but he ain't tweeted since 2013.
You some bitch.
I'm going to find you, fake Tony Thunder.
So, now, since we got Andre in the studio with us, man, let's start by talking a little bit about, your fight this past weekend.
Okay.
Pretty decisive win. You got your unanimous decision victory.
Yeah, it felt good. The craziest thing, so it's my first MMA fight. The craziest thing about it is, like, literally, if I used to wrestle in college. Yeah. So, like, it literally felt like a wrestling match where you can hit people. And I was surprised. I threw him in, my favorite move was a front headlock, and I threw him in there, and he just, like, fall. And that's usually what I'm used to, people just falling over. I'm like, damn, this is just like wrestling. And but not really, it felt like I was wrestling in high school because, like, he wasn't a good wrestler. But, so I don't know. I love that part about it. Thing about it, I mean, because you go to my gym. I broke my foot. And that's right after Christmas. So I was on crutches for like 2 weeks, going into the fight. I'm on crutches. People like, what happened? You're not gonna fight anymore? I'm like, well, we'll see, because I had like 4-5 weeks till the fight was gonna come. So, I mean, a lot of people was like, nah, man, you shouldn't fight. Even like a week before the fight, I'm like, yeah, foot's kind of hurting a little bit. I had one dude, he was like, damn, man, you shouldn't fight. That's dumb. I'm like, and now it's getting in my head like, damn, maybe these people right. I'm putting a lot of doubt and stuff in my head, but I mean, I went out there anyway. Fought through it, got the dub. So
What'd you come out to?
My favorite, one of my favorite songs. It was King's Dead. That one with Kendrick and Future. Yeah. Can't remember the King's Dead.
That's what's
So
up.
yeah.
So I mean, you just hit on one of the things that I think is one of the hardest things for somebody who's fighting is that you've got the mental part of the game is always just as important as anything physical.
Right,
man.
right.
If you got people being all negative leading up to a fight and throwing shit in your head, man, they can really fuck with you.
It do. It could, yeah. Because like I heard a few people say like, "Damn, man, you gonna lose." I'm like, "Damn, you gonna say that to me?"
Shit, yeah.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter how many times you fought. Like that shit'll fuck with
It
you,
do,
man. Like
yeah.
before I competed in October, man, it was funny. Like I got a real asshole boss, and he was talking all kinds of shit. He's
Take a shot.
yeah, he's an asshole. But, before I fought, he freaking's talking about, oh, so I come watch you get your ass whooped. I said, well, I'm not going to get my ass whooped, but if you really want to find out that bad, there's still time for you to sign up. And,
Well, you said before your fight.
before I fought, that we did the Michigan Open Jiu-Jitsu tournament.
Oh,
So,
okay, yeah. All
we
right.
were talking shit, and he was like, I think he thought I was joking when he heard that I trained and stuff, because my friends that I work with there know about it, but it's not like something I talk about like that, because I've fought 4 times boxing, never fought MMA, but
Take another shot.
All right, what is this? Is this the game? Like, I don't get
Yeah,
it.
we got this thing.
We've all got little shit that gets said a lot, and it's like it gets frustrating because me and Devin, when we're talking about it, like he's always coming at it from the fans' point of view, and I didn't notice it until we were a few episodes in. I'd always be like, well, being somebody that's fought before or something like that. So anytime
Every time he mentioned himself fighting, you take a shot.
It's just a little pun these fuckers got.
And every time Devin, that's the big dude you were talking about earlier. Every
Yeah.
time Devin mentioned that he was at a wrestling event, you take a shot.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's just some shit we talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like I said, I mean, it's just it can fuck with your head. But you mentioned that you had wrestled in college. I knew that you had a wrestling background as soon as the first time I rolled with you. Where'd you wrestle at in college?
Indiana Tech.
Okay. I had a buddy played soccer there.
Yeah. I think they have a pretty good soccer team.
They do.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Did you wrestle all 4 years or?
No, I wrestled 1 year because it became like a full-time job. Like when I was in high school wrestling, it's because I wanted to. It was fun. When I get to college, and then it's just a completely different thing. Like literally, you 5 in the morning, you up wrestling. Then you go to school with class and whatnot, and then you back at it at night for wrestling practices.
2 days.
Yeah. But not even like, how football just do 2 a days like for the summer. It's just 2 a days every single day.
That's a grind.
Yeah,
Man.
and then on the holiday break, everybody go home, enjoy themselves. We had like a week or so, then we went back to school 3 a days. For a month.
That'd give it to you, bro.
It do. Like one day we was all sitting at the table like eating after a practice, everybody just like kind of looking down, and then somebody just sat up. They was like, "Am I the only one who hates this?" And then everybody kind of agreed. They was like, "Oh, I hate it too. I thought I was the only one." We started.
Dude, nobody likes that shit. That's why I always laugh when you hear people say, "Man, I love training." Okay, you might like training, but bro, when you're in a fight camp or something like that, eventually you get to
It's
the
just
point.
exhausting.
You eventually get to a point where it's like, dude, fuck this.
Right,
I'm
right.
done. I just want to get this fight over with.
Yeah,
let's
100%.
just do this shit.
Yeah.
But talking about the wrestling, in your fight, you had a much taller opponent, and your wrestling skills really showed because he tried to take sloppy takedown attempts, stuff like that, and your wrestling just was able to handle it. Did you see anything from your fight that was like peeking out to you that you want to work on? Anything?
Well, I know at the beginning he had me up against the cage for a big portion of it. Now that I was, cause I had sparred a few times in MMA, not enough that I noticed I would get tired, like exhausted, like from using too much wrestling. So with that, I'm like, all right, I had him in the underhook. I'm like, let me just kind of fill this out But then eventually I just got the underhook and turn or the little underhook and like
Yep,
took
jacked
him
up the
down with it.
underhook,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I guess the thing I want to work on is realizing how
Realizing your distance and where
Distance.
you're at by the cage.
no, not even that. It's like how much energy to use.
Okay,
And like
Not to gas yourself
yeah,
out.
Well,
yeah.
because the wrestling, man, that's one thing I always noticed. Because I started with straight boxing before I ever did jiu-jitsu or anything. That's one thing I noticed is like the wrestling just wears you the
Yeah,
fuck out.
exactly.
I can throw
exactly.
hands with somebody all day because if I get tired, I can move out the way.
Right.
And they're not supposed to be able to grab you. But when you're wrestling and somebody's pinning you up against the cage, shit like that.
I'm the opposite. I could wrestle all day. I throw hands. I get tired.
See, I guess maybe it's just because my win was different because I started with boxing. But boy, once I started doing that wrestling, I was like, son of a bitch.
I put it this way: it's different. Like, do you do MMA too?
Not MMA, but
Okay.
I didn't box before and I done wrestled. So.
Yeah. So like wrestling, when you wrestling, yeah, you can build up that tolerance for it. Boxing, you can build up that tolerance for it. But when you mix the two,
Yeah.
then it's like it's different.
total
Because you
different
got it's like
animal.
your strength and your weakness.
Yeah.
Like, but like
Plus-
even for me when I was boxing, I was like, if I got tired from boxing, I'll try to hold. My arms would get hella tired. I was fucking up on both of them. So yeah.
What head coach or trainer would you say is the one that influenced you most in your game?
For which part of my game? Like,
Wrestling.
For wrestling, shoot, this is my high school coach. His name David Beasley. And actually,
Shout out to Coach Beasley.
Yeah, and his son actually, for real, because his son was my wrestling partner when I was like 119 one year, and he was like 135. Then just like every other kid except for me, he hit his growth spurt, and he became like he grew like 6 inches. And
He's
started
jacking a beanstalk and shit.
yeah, so and then he started weighing like 175, but he was still my drilling partner, like because he said I was the only one that really
Challenge
could
him.
drill. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he taught me pretty much everything I knew, and that kind of just took it from there. But
So,
That's what's up.
talking about your training, tell us a little bit where you're training out of.
I
'Cause
train
I know
out
you're
of
at a bunch of different spots.
yeah. I have a lot of gyms. I box out of what you call it, Canada, at Windsor Amateur Boxing Club, and then I also go to Michigan Top Team out in Dearborn. I go to MASH out in Redford, and then if you got MASH, then you go to Warrior Way out in Commerce. I had Planet Fitness. So that's a cool jump.
They fighting that Planet Fitness?
They might be fighting.
They gonna hit that alarm on your ass. No,
What alarm?
Nah, I
You
hate
didn't drop
Planet
too many
Fitness so
motherfuckers. It's time to.
No, but I tried to hit Mitts and Planet Fitness one time. They was like, "Nah, son, you intimidating."
You can't
other
even take that
people."
water in there.
I know, right? That's
wouldn't let you.
maybe.
Well, I heard some about that. What the hell
yeah,
is the story?
no, I
with
can't
that?
even really.
But see, no,
boost
see,
like
this
in
one
it.
thing I don't like about Planet Fitness. Since we talking about them, let
Yeah.
me shit on them right quick.
Right.
All right. First of all, they give pizza out and candy out,
I
which is
said that
fucked
too.
up. That's fucked up. But my thing is, if you call it a judge-free zone, how are you judging people on how they work out?
Right.
Well, dude, I remember the first time I went there, and this is why I hate Planet Fitness. 2 reasons I hate it. One, that stupid ass alarm. If you lift any kind of heavy weight, you're gonna grunt to some degree.
Yeah.
So you got this stupid fucking alarm that goes off every time I pick the weight up. It's like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to lift anything heavy? Second of all, what's this shit I hear about? You can't take a jug of water. In
Yeah,
there
you
no
can't take
more?
a jug of water in there. You can't wear tank tops.
What?
Yeah, you
No,
can't
you can wear
cut-off
tank tops, but you can't wear like they can.
H shirts, t-shirt. What they call them?
Is it
Like
called
the
a
cutoff
big-
shirts or something like
No,
that.
it's like how the tank top the string is like this big.
Yeah.
It can't be that big.
Oh,
Oh,
so
wow.
they're judging the width
Yeah,
of the strap. Like
yeah,
they're
'cause
really.
I know,
getting to
it's
it.
I know they
petty.
can't be cut too low either, like the t-shirts.
Oh,
can't
really?
be
Oh
cut
my
too low.
I didn't know that
lord.
one.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Plus,
yeah, it can't be cut
I don't
down.
know about you guys, but the few times I've gone to Planet Fitness, it feels like 90% of the motherfuckers in there, all they're doing is taking selfies in the fucking mirror anyway. Like
And on a
they're-
bicycle. They all on a bicycle.
Yeah, they ain't lifting no weight, or
Yeah.
all they're doing is running on the treadmill.
it attract. Like I will say this about Planet Fitness, it attracts a certain type of people. The people that will buy a membership on January 1st, use it for a few days
Until
and
March
never
3rd.
come back.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
And
dude.
that's
That's
what
how
people
they make
want.
so much
Exactly.
money. That's how they make so much
yeah,
money.
they make bread. And
I
they,
found out there's a study about Planet Fitness that if everybody who was a member of Planet Fitness went in there every day, they wouldn't be able to fit in every gym
Oh,
in all the
boy.
Planet Fitnesses in America.
Lord.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
That
That's how it
doesn't
is. A
shock
lot
me
of
at all.
gyms, but Planet Fitness is like they really bank off.
See,
that,
I go
100%.
outside of MASH. I go to LA Fitness to lift. And like same thing there. Like you see all these people come in, and it was a joke. I was joking with a guy the other day when I was getting changed. I was like, dude, I said, what's the over under on how many of these motherfuckers you think are gonna make it to April? Because dude, there's this one guy that goes in the gym, and oh my god, I wish I'd taken a picture of it. I tell myself every time I see this guy, I'm gonna take a picture. So I'm not hating on anybody who wants to come in and work out. I don't give a shit what you wear in there, because I'm in there to do my own thing. But there's one guy in particular. This dude is like big, tall, skinny, lanky dude. He's this big around. This guy is wearing like a legit girl shirt, because the shirt like legit like comes to like maybe here. And then he's got like the windbreaker pants on, and then you'll see him go lift weights, and I'm like, can somebody like
He do those hip workouts like he's getting ready to get it on for the night.
It's weird to
Trying
look
to get
at, and
those
I'm
hips
like,
ready.
what are you doing,
Put
dog?
the 50
Like,
pounds on the
you're
leg
in here
press and
every
start moving
day,
it with your
and-
hips.
and you're still nothing. Like, I don't get it. But hey, I digress. But dude, it's
Like Roddy Piper would say, 2 spaghettis with a mosquito bite on them.
pretty much.
Yeah, that's dope.
Pretty much. And he's got the long hair, but he's got the classic old school wrestler deal where his fucking hairline's like back to here and
Oh,
shit.
damn.
So
What's your favorite place to work out, man? Like,
Yeah,
if
that's a
you
good
could go
question.
anywhere to lift weights without getting judged or the
Right,
alarm
right.
coming on, you know what I mean?
I would have to say, like, I mean, I don't have this membership, but it would be Lifetime.
Lifetime's nice
Fitness.
too. I've been there before.
Yeah, so
They 24 hours, right?
I think so. No, maybe till like 12 or something. I don't know.
I don't know if they got it out here on the East Coast or the Midwest, but out in like Cali, Phoenix, Vegas area, there's a place called 24 Hour Fitness.
They got a bunch of those out here too.
Oh, okay. You can go in there any time of day. They give you keys with your membership.
Yeah.
Anytime.
That's how Powerhouse Novi is. That's how actually almost all Powerhouses is.
Oh,
Cause that's why I got membership at Powerhouse Novi, and I like it. It's cool. I just like Lifetime because they got 2 basketball gyms. So that's pretty sweet.
See, and that's what got me into
Calisthenics.
LA, because I didn't like Planet Fitness. I needed somewhere I could live, because MASH is a little bit far for me. I've gone into Michigan Top Team a few times, because we've had, Manib's a multiple time guest of the show. Mo Shatri's a multiple time guest of the show. We're gonna have Crookshank soon. But I got LA because I work midnights, so sometimes I can't make it to the classes at MASH. So it gives me somewhere to live. But at least at LA, you get the pool, you get the basketball courts, you get the sauna, you get like all that stuff. So at least if I'm gonna pay the money, I feel like you're getting your money's worth.
Right.
So that, I mean, at least for me. So we talked about your wrestling background a little bit. Tell me how you got into boxing, man.
Okay. So I did wrestling for a year at Central. I mean, no, at Indiana Tech. Then I went to Central. Looked at the wrestling team, thought about it like, I didn't like Indiana Tech. Clearly not gonna like Central, so I'm like, all right, I ain't doing that. But they had a grappling club, so I thought it was gonna be like a little wrestling thing, but no, it was actually a MMA club.
Nice.
They called it grappling club because when it was called MMA club, it attracted a bunch of like douchebag people, I guess.
I can see that.
Yeah, so they had to change the name. So I started doing that, right? And learning everything was cool. Then we sparred. We sparred MMA for the first time. And so I'm cool, I'm throwing punches. And then this dude, he whipped a kick and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna catch it with my thigh. So he hit it. It hit my thigh, and I was like, time out.
I think it's like that for everybody. The first time you get kicked in
if
the
you
leg,
check a leg kick,
yeah.
you gon' feel that.
I'm gonna be fine, but oh shit, wait a minute.
Checking leg kicks is never fun.
It's not,
you don't want to.
If you ain't checking it the right way,
you gotta
dude,
get out the way of that motherfucker. Is what you want to do.
Yeah. So he did that a few more times, and I was like, you know what? I just like, to punch. I don't like getting
How bad was the bruise? Did you-
Oh, it was really bad. It like swelled up a little bit, but so that led to the just the boxing aspect. Like whenever we were sparring there, I'd be like, all right, no legs,
Right.
So so I just like the boxing. So then from there, I met a coach out there, and I met another coach out there. Like I had like one coach, like he was like really good because he like focused on technique like to a T. When I first met him, he put like I had been boxing for about a year or two, but he was used to people coming and quitting. So he put me on a basketball line, and I just had to walk with like one foot on one side, the other foot on one other side. I had to just walk up and down the line
and stay in your stance.
Yeah, stay in my stance.
I've done that
yeah,
before.
for like 30 minutes though.
Okay.
For like a week. just to make sure that I was like serious about it. I'm like, I am. So he taught me everything based off that. But yeah,
Shout out to good coaches. Man.
yeah,
Shout out to good coaches.
yeah. It ain't many coaches that'll do something like
That
that.
teach you technique.
That's some like Karate Kid type shit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That remind me of a coach in Vegas. When my cousin was out there, we would go to the Mayweather gym every day. And Coach Otis, shout out to Coach Otis, he was very on point with techniques. Like techniques was his number one thing.
Yeah.
That's what he focused on
That's
most.
key.
Well, I mean, that's one thing I've noticed, being around the game, like either whether you're talking MMA, whether you're talking about boxing, you can tell the difference between a good coach and a guy who's just running the mill.
Yeah.
Like you can tell the difference between a guy who's just trying to get you in there and get your money or whatever. Because like for me, before I went to MASH, the guy I trained with he was good, but I mean, you could tell that there was some shady shit too. Because like we would go, like I said, I used to fight at your weight when I boxed, and I was
Take a shot.
I was 16, 17 years old at the time, and I'll never forget. Mind you, I'm in high school, so I'm going to school and then coming here and boxing and sparring, after school. Did this for weeks on end, thinking, hell yeah, we're going to fight, whatever. Go all the way out to Milford, out to 59 West to fight, get there, weigh in, do my medicals, do all that shit. And then they go, yeah, you guys can't fight. And I go, well, what do you mean I can't fight? Come to find out, he was never even licensed. And then and then I found out, and then so my mom was like, "Yo, take it off his membership, take it off his membership, and I'll take care of it, and then it'll be square." Well, then if that wasn't bad enough, mind you, this is my first fight. Come to find out, he wanted me to fight some kid that had already fought in the Golden Gloves 3 times. I'm like, what the fuck kind of matchup is this shit?
He was ready to put the paws on
I'm
you.
like, I would have fought him
He was about to
anyway.
put them
'cause
Black
I'm
Panther
like,
paws
I'm a
on
young,
you.
dumb kid. I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And now I look back at it, I'm like, well, damn, I'm glad I didn't take that fight because I hit hard, but he's got more skill than I did.
Yeah.
So you can tell the difference between somebody who's just trying to get your money and the difference. Because like when I came to MASH, when I first started there, you had Don was still head coach. You had Miles was there. Darren Cruikshank was there.
Oh yeah,
Shout out to Cruikshank.
Justin James was there. Todd was still fighting. The whole gym was just full of killers, man. James Lee was still fighting. It was when he was still in the UFC. So I mean, literally, this was the best facility in the state, and you had like a room full of killers. Like you would go in there to the practices, and you're like, shit, every one of these dudes can fight, and you quickly learn the difference between, a gym like where I was and then where I ended up being. So you can tell that difference real quick. So coming off of your last fight, what do you see next? Are you trying to take something again soon? Are you trying to take another boxing fight? Are you trying to stick MMA? What's next for you?
Honestly, I want to try. I want to do another MMA fight. I also want to get back into boxing.
Right.
Because I like them
Boxing
both.
gonna need a new face, man.
Yeah.
Boxing gonna need a new face. Soon.
Yeah, they do. But I was just surprised how much I actually liked MMA, like, cause every time I spar MMA is with gloves, but the fact that I really got to wrestle more, and I could be like literally, this is like I used to really like wrestling, and now I get to wrestle and hit somebody at the
for
same
somebody
time.
like you, man, it's got to be more of a complete game. You probably got to feel like you can use more assets of your game having
Right,
both of them.
exactly. Yeah.
I know wrestling was your number one game. Like, you being a boxer. What you think about Floyd getting in the cage, man?
I don't think that's so real. I think it's two things. One is either him just trying to stay relevant so he can probably sell shirts or some shit.
Right.
Or maybe he's trying to promote, maybe he's trying to get into MMA, like get fighters and shit into it.
I could see
But
that happening.
I could see him doing one fight with Conor. And, hey, y'all can call me crazy, whatever y'all want to. Don't sleep on Floyd. That motherfucker's a genius. He knows how to make money, and I know it's all about the money. But just like Conor caught Jose Aldo slipping,
Okay,
the boy Floyd could catch Conor slipping with a lucky
you're right.
punch
I mean,
and catch his ass and knock him the fuck out.
And I mean, you're right. With his hand speed and the fact that he's already proven he can knock Conor out with boxing gloves on, it's only going to be
with
worse
10-ounce
than MMA
gloves. We going down to 4-ounce gloves.
But my whole thought with that is Floyd's 50-0. He comes in and does MMA. You lose even if it doesn't count against your boxing record.
It don't.
That's still a loss.
Yeah.
He's
And
0-1 in MMA.
Exactly.
He's not 50-1.
That's still a loss, though. A loss.
No. Because all right, look at Inoki and Muhammad Ali.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is people that don't stop to look at it that way, and the people who don't really know anything about fighting or anything like that, all they're gonna see is,
Those are
Floyd lost.
Those
Yeah,
are
that's
Floyd
true.
haters, man.
That's
Those
true.
are Floyd haters. I mean,
Maybe
at the end of
maybe
the day,
so, but
at the end of the day,
they're
a lot
gonna
of people.
say you're
Yeah.
not undefeated anymore because you
and
lost.
that's what he lives for.
Yeah,
100%.
And
but
that's
see,
the
my
thing.
thing is like people as a whole, like especially like majority of people, they hate people that win a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They hate
I
the
won't-
Patriots. They hate LeBron. Well, he don't win
no,
a lot, but
I agree.
you know they hate greatness. People hate
Yeah,
greatness.
No,
That's
I
what it
agree
is,
completely.
You know what I mean?
And that's why,
like if you become the greatest at what you do,
Yeah.
you go get haters.
Oh yeah.
You go get a
That's
lot
how.
of
That's
people to
one
start
thing I
shitting on you.
noticed. Like that's the one. Like every time, because we got a podcast too, and when I told
we'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah, I tell my partner like once we made it. As soon as in the comments you see somebody say our shit sucks,
Yeah.
that's how you know that
You
we
made
made
it,
it. You
for
know,
sure.
because that's what it takes. As soon
Oh,
as
yeah.
as soon as you
Yeah.
start seeing success, you start seeing people hate on you, and that's you should actually want it for real.
Yeah.
See, because I don't know if you saw the fight, Tony, or if you did, Andre, but see, my first thought when I hear that Floyd's going to go in the cage, I was a huge James Toney fan, especially being that he's from Detroit.
First of all, I'm sorry. I know where you're going with this. James Toney is not Floyd Mayweather. Okay, Conor McGregor is not Randy Couture.
Okay,
Huge difference.
not really when you break it
Huge
down, though.
difference.
If you break it down, you got a guy who is a world champ boxer and was a good fighter, plain and simple.
James Toney could not
You've-
fuck with Floyd Mayweather. Pound for pound.
I'm not, and then you got Randy Couture, who's one of the best ever as far as MMA goes.
One of the best ever. Conor is not on that list.
I'm
In
just,
my opinion,
but
at
what
least.
I'm saying just purely from an MMA versus a boxer standpoint. Conor is not a wrestler by any means, but you'd be stupid to think that Conor's not going to be trying to just train his jiu-jitsu or something just
Right.
enough so that he can take Floyd to the ground. Because, Andre, you can speak about this better than most. One thing I've noticed since I started training jiu-jitsu and MMA coming from a straight boxing background is I can't tell you how many times you'll end up at a party or something and mess around and end up wrestling with somebody. People panic when they get on the ground.
Especially on their back.
you could
I agree
be-
with that.
You could be the best fighter you want on your feet, but if somebody don't know what they're doing on the ground and you're able to control that person, they panic.
Right.
Because if they don't know how to get up or don't know and they just try to hulk you off them or whatever and you're
But
able
see,
to hold your
that's
ground.
the thing, though. You got to get Floyd down. He's
But-
known for running, quote unquote running. He's known for running.
I just
What makes
don't-
you think Conor go get him down?
Although I would say Floyd's always got a chance in that fight, I don't think that's a smart move. I really don't.
I agree. I mean, if I was Floyd, I'd stay my ass out of the cage too.
He's making-
I'd stay my ass out of the cage, retire with your 50-0. You done tied with
Marciano.
Rocky Marciano. You done tied with Rocky Marciano, and he whooped Joe Louis' ass, and Joe Louis was 175 years old when the fight happened.
Right.
Joe Louis was 143 years old.
Oh no, I feel like if he does take this fight, it brings up some questions like, is he like going broke? Like I really don't know. Is he really need money like that? Like
no,
for real,
man. Because
So
that
that's
dude's
what-
still
that's
making
what
money
bring the
off all
question.
them strip clubs.
I
he's got,
think
too.
I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like
that's
a
true.
man bet between him and Conor. Like you
Yeah,
step
I
in my
think-
ring, I'll step in yours.
Yeah,
like,
and I
because
mean-
if he does go to MMA, it's obvious who he's fighting. It's
Right.
obvious who he's fighting.
Oh, yeah.
There
I
wouldn't
think,
be no point to him fighting anybody else.
it wouldn't
Yeah,
be.
I think that's
for real.
I think that was a personal man to man agreement with Conor.
I don't believe in that. It's all for Floyd. Is clearly
all
about
for
money.
money,
It's
dude.
not
I
gonna
don't
be
of
think
about
course
man
it's
to
for
man.
money,
Yeah,
but
That's
Floyd
all-
is, Floyd,
anything
hey, I will
Floyd
say
does-
this: Floyd is a man of his word. At the end of the day, when Floyd Mayweather says something, it's gonna happen.
That's not true because he also had the fans vote like a long time ago who they wanted to see him fight, and he
That's true.
who it was it Americana or Manny that they said they wanted.
It was
That's one of them.
it was for Manny.
Oh, yeah, it was
because
for Manny, and then he
because
just didn't do
when
it.
they originally did,
He
the
ended up
whole thing
fighting
with
Manny
him
though.
Yeah,
years later, though.
Yeah, he did. He
Years
did though.
later.
But he did. but see, my thing is when he said it was gonna happen, it happened.
He said it was going to happen then, and it didn't happen.
yeah.
He did.
No,
did,
yeah,
I
he
promise
said he told
did.
the fans to vote for
Like
who
when it
y'all want to
first
see me
came
fight.
out, and they said, "Who do you want to see me fight?" Everybody,
Well, asking the
resoundingly.
fan for opinion and
But
saying you gonna fight somebody.
he even went out on Sports Center and all that and said he wanted it, and then he went back and said, "Oh, it's a drug
Well,
issue."
no.
and
See,
everything else."
yeah. When Manny failed them steroids tests,
Well,
Floyd didn't want no parts of them because Manny was knocking motherfuckers out. And then when Manny got knocked the fuck out twice, Floyd was like, "Come on, do you really deserve to fight me now?" Then he ended up giving the fans what they wanted. I mean, I'm obviously biased as a Floyd
No,
fan.
and I'm not
you
saying
know,
that I'm
but-
not a fan of Floyd either because I've always been a fan of Floyd. Even when I boxed, I always liked Floyd from the pure standpoint. I love the science part of it, the fact that dude just didn't get hit. And he went against every different kind of fighter that you want to talk about and didn't get hit.
Yeah.
But as far as that fight goes, I mean, it's nothing more for me, I think, than just about the money. And if he does do that fight, Floyd's going to want to do it just for the fact of, that would be
like Andre said.
well, that would be a hard one to put together too, because you also got to realize that if Floyd's going to put that fight together, he's not going to take that fight unless Dana gives him part of the promotion.
Of course.
Because every fight he's had since he made Mayweather Promotions and all that, he's making a shit ton of money just off the promotion. And if Dana White won't let it go to where it's, co-promoted between UFC and Mayweather Promotions, he ain't going to do it.
Yeah, that brings up a question. Do y'all think that UFC would ever turn to boxing as far as promotions go? Like,
I mean, my thing is, boxing isn't as known or as I can name like the average person. If you go on the street and ask them, "Can you name any MMA fighters?" They can probably give you 2 or 3.
all right,
Ask them to name any boxers. They'll probably give you 1.
true,
But I think that's 'cause of the
boxers
time-
are making way more
that's
money.
what I was. Yeah, okay, that's
than
what I'm
MMA,
thinking.
way more. That take home
Yeah.
purse, boy,
Yeah.
I'd rather be an unknown
That's because-
rich nigga than
Right.
to be a broke
Yeah.
no nigga. You feel me?
But I mean, you know this from from the wrestling game, okay? So the thing with MMA is what's hot right now.
Yeah.
You go back to I don't know, 2001, 2002, back when.
Oh, wait. Since you want to go back to 2001, 2002, I just want to say shout out to Roy Jones Jr. for having his last
Hell yeah.
fight recently.
Hell yeah.
My man's whooped ass.
His
and went
last
home.
fight, like ever. or
For
just
now.
retired.
He said he's retired. He said he retired, but he said that he would take. That's the other
me
thing.
pound
though.
for pound. He
He
one of the
said
best.
that-
Top 10.
He said that, and then the next thing he said, he goes, "The only way I would consider coming out is if I could fight Anderson Silva."
It's not gonna happen. Please don't
So-
do it. Roy Jones, please. If by grace of God you hear this, stay your ass at home. You went out on a high note.
Yeah.
Go back to rapping, make another Body Hitters album or some shit, and stay home.
So, as we wind down here, you talked about you have a show. Tell us about your podcast. Tell us about what it's out, what it's about, where you can find it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my other my podcast is First Amendment Podcast. That's spell it out, First Amendment Podcast, real simple. Yeah, so just check that out. Instagram is First1ST Amendment PC.
And then what are you guys talking about? What's your guys' content?
Literally, it's nothing but everything at the same time. You feel me? Like it's current events, it's race issues, relationship issues. We also give like a motivational quote at the end.
Okay.
Inspire everybody, try to uplift everybody, give them
That's
a
what's
little
up.
value. So we're just trying to bring up the black community for real. Because it's not many.
That's what's up.
Yeah, not many black kids have like role models to look up to. So that's pretty
Okay.
much where we're about, trying
I
to
feel you.
uplift everybody. So yeah.
What
That's
made
what
you
we
guys
about.
want to get in the game with that?
Honest, so my co-host, we went to high school together, and he had came back, or my sister had came back to visit because she stayed in Cali, and he had came over for her little welcome back / going back home party. And we was just chopping it up, and then he had brought up how he wanted a talk show one day, and I'm like, oh well, sure. I was just thinking, about this, and then we started doing little filming, little mock episodes, and then we just
That's
went
what's
from
up.
there. Yeah.
So where all can they find you? You guys Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah. So we got a Facebook First Amendment Podcast. We got the YouTube First Amendment Podcast. And then like I said, Instagram First number 1ST Amendment PC. And yeah.
What platforms are you guys all available on? Obviously, the Podcast Detroit. Shout out
Right.
Podcast Detroit.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Podcast Detroit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, so we on that, and then we created our own SoundCloud, so you can find us specifically
Okay,
a little
cool.
easier. So same thing, First Amendment Podcast, and then we're gonna be on iTunes soon.
Cool,
and
cool.
then along with everything else. So
Cool, man.
Word,
We'll definitely plug you guys out on the page and share some of your guys' stuff out too, man.
okay.
Uh,
We appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
but no.
appreciate you for having
A lot of people can't see this on camera. Andre done brought a shooter in the building. Hey, yo, he done got the shooter in the building. Throw out your Instagram and Facebook and shit right quick, man. Let them know the shooter in the building. Tell them who you are, man. Just
gotta
one
come
time
over
for the
here.
one
Yeah,
time.
it's talking to Mike.
Shit. I mean,
Wait, it sounded like he just woke up from a nap.
He probably did.
Man, are we that boring, dog?
Random as hell. No, I was just chilling. You feel me? But no, that's my cousin though. Shit, you can follow me on Instagram. Big Quizzy. No, big _Quizzy QUIZZY 72. I ain't got no Twitter. Oh shit, I ain't got no Twitter or Snapchat. So shit,
Word.
yeah, just Instagram.
Trying to stay low key.
Hit him on the gram.
Yeah, shit.
Do it for the gram.
Do it for the gram one time.
We'll be back here in a little bit with all the latest in your pro wrestling.
We'll be back with Salim Ericatis too.
That
The
too.
Pally Prince.
I would have got to that, but yeah. and
I
we're
did
gonna
it
talk-
for you.
And we're going to
One
talk about
time.
everything that was Astronomicon and
There we
some
go.
of the legends that we're going to be bringing to you on the show real soon.
Word.
Hold up.
Word.
All right.
Pally Prince.
This is I.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got the Pally Prince, Salim Ericatis in the building. We got applause that we go add in one day. Before we get right into talking to you, Sal, we wanted to go over this past weekend. We
Okay.
we got our hands on a couple of legends, man. I know you. Before I get into this, I want to let you know you got some big shoes to follow because your interview's coming right after this one. Kyle, who did we get to see this weekend? Man?
So we were out at Astronomicon. Shout out to Astronomicon. And shout out to Podcast Detroit for giving us the platform to be there. But we got to have Booker T on the show with us.
You can dig that sucker.
We got to have an interview with him. We got to have
Five-time.
five-time WCW champion. We talked everything Black History Month, his career, all that stuff. And then on Saturday night, we went to the Dirty Dozen and got to hang out with Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff. And
Nice.
Sunday, they dropped in for a 30-minute interview with us on Sunday. So both of those are going to be getting edited. They'll be getting brought to you in shows real soon. I just want to say shout out to all those guys, especially Pritchard show, because that was the Dirty Dozen was a real cool thing. Like, they didn't hold back. They answered any questions we had. Like, they didn't hold any punches.
Nice.
So that was real cool. And Booker couldn't have been any nicer, dude. We just walked up, hey, dude, would you be down to come do the show? He did it, no problem. And,
Dig that sucker.
yeah, I can definitely dig that. So it was cool, man, because they were, like I said, real chill. Didn't hesitate to be on the show. And for us to be able to have those guys on there, being guys that I watched as a kid,
Man.
that was pretty cool. Especially having Bischoff on there, being somebody that's from Detroit.
I didn't know that.
How do you
No
not know that?
shit.
He's from
Eric
10
Bischoff is from Detroit.
Oh my God, we stumped the wrestling guy. But yeah, 10
Wow.
Mile. He's from 10 Mile and Gratiot.
Shout out to Eric Bischoff. Oh shit.
Oh shit!
That's never happened.
There's ghosts in this bitch.
Wardrobe malfunction.
Microphone malfunction,
All right,
but yeah.
Shout out to Facebook Live for seeing me fix that. But no, we got the Pally Prince on the phone. Emma effing phone. We already cussed. We got Pally Prince on the motherfucking phone with us. Hey, give
already
them
cussed,
all
it's
your
too
social medias. Get them all your social medias. Where to find you at?
They can find me on the Pally Prince if you just type in the Pali. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, if you go on Pally Prince on Twitter, you guys can find me on there, on Instagram as well. And then just search Salim Ali, the Pally Prince, and you'll be able to find me on Facebook as well.
There it is, man. Tell them where you coming out of right now. Where are you currently wrestling? What's your territory or area, so to speak?
Right now, I'm currently in the Southwest. I'm in Phoenix, but I've wrestled all the way up as far as Edmonton, all the way down past, Tucson, Arizona. So I've covered a lot of miles. But right now, it's mainly in the Southwest. I've been in Arizona, California, more Southern California, anything else.
Nice.
Trying to get back into Vegas, New Mexico, and hopefully Texas here pretty soon.
Edmonton. I see you were up in Canada, man. Is there any history with you in Canada?
Oh, man. I went up there and trained with Lance Storm, actually, in 2012.
Trained with Lance Storm in
I was part of
2012.
the, May 2012.
Now, if I can be serious for a minute,
Yep, it was.
that's pretty dope. Yeah, that's
And
pretty dope.
he was, man. That training was not easy. I'll tell you. It was. There were days you're looking at yourself and you're like, holy crap, what the hell did I do to get up here? But in the end, it was absolutely worth it, man. Lance is a phenomenal guy. Still keep in touch with him. I'd like to say I call him a really good friend of mine through the years. But he was incredible as a trainer. Absolutely the best.
What are some of the toughest things you went through with training with Lance Storm?
Well, the drills that we had every day, we'd have about 45 minutes to an hour of just straight warm-up drills. Our class ran for 3 hours, and we'd have basically the first just complete drills. And we're rotating in and out of the ring. And there was about it started with about 17 of us and ended up with 12, to give you an idea of how tough it was. But we'd rotate in and out of the ring all day long for about an hour, and then get in and do basically our actual physical training, getting in there and whatnot.
Nice.
And then, of course, I had my training regimen after the fact. After training, I'd go work out, have my ritual and whatnot. So.
All right, let's plug in some of the things you got coming up, man. What are your next shows? What is your next events you got going on? I mean, I don't want you to go through your whole calendar. We ain't got all that time, but no. What do you got coming up soon, man?
Well, I definitely appreciate it, man. Just recently, I started up with a company out of Southern California. They're called Venue Wrestling Entertainment. Man, they're incredible, and they're doing great things. They've already done great things. This Friday, I'll actually be there. We have Kiko Taro on the show. Super Beetle's going to be there. The last show, I wrestled Funny Bone. And it's just an amazing atmosphere. The locker room, the crowd, the people. It's just something a little bit different. And Jason's doing a lot of good things with that one. So I got that coming up. Also, Party Hard Wrestling here in Phoenix.
Shout out to Party Hard.
Picking up, which is good. So if you guys haven't heard of them, check them out. They're also another good one. And then also Action Pro Wrestling is another new startup company out here. I'm wrestling with them. So there's a lot of great things going on here in the Southwest. It's just a matter of getting your hands on them and getting there.
Nice. So you mentioned that you came from Lance Storm School. Tell us a little bit about the benefits of coming from a school like that that's well accredited. Going there that you're going to get good training. And I mean, the list of people he's already put out of there in the time that he's been open. I mean, the big one right now, that I've seen lately. You got Rachel Elring coming out of there. Bunch of people coming out of there. So talk a little bit about his school.
Brian Pillman Jr. is coming out of there.
Speaking of that, we're hooked up with a promotion out here. He's going to be wrestling on a show here for Metro Pro March 3rd, I believe. Yeah. So we're hooked up.
Cool,
we're going to be doing a live show out here with them real soon. Shout out to Johnny. We'll be having him on the show once it gets a little bit closer to plug that. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned him.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of great benefits going up. I mean, I began training out here with the IZW school, Impact Zone Wrestling, out here in 2008 under Gallo, John Lyon, and Erica Derrico, and began 2008 and completed training with them early 2010. And then just felt I just needed that little bit more to kind of get there. And in researching, doing all the research, talking to a few people, it was basically Lance was the only avenue to get to. And it was very difficult because I actually gave up 3 of my jobs out here, literally packed up my car and just drove up there and spent 3 months up there.
Damn.
That's
wasn't
the
easy, but
dedication,
all
man.
worth it, man. Like 100%. Everything you get when you go there is 100. You treat like royalty. So
And so tell us also about like some of the advantages once you get out on the scene coming from a school like Lance's, because I gotta imagine
If you can throw that name around, is what
you
he's
can
saying.
throw that
if you
na-
can
you
throw
can
that
throw
name
that name
around, there's
around.
got to be some
Plus,
benefits.
I mean, from everything I've read, I've heard that he's real good about trying to help you guys find bookings, all that good stuff.
he did actually. I mean, before I even got up there, I got hooked up with a few people because he already knew I had been wrestling, and I sent him a couple videos and whatnot, pictures, and I got hooked up with shows up there in Canada. Got to wrestle up there, but just in terms of using that name, hey, I began training out here, but I ended up going to Calgary to train to finish up my training. It definitely gives you that notoriety. That you're serious. You're taking this as serious, no pun intended, with Lance, but you're taking it as serious as you can.
if you
So-
can be serious for a moment, what are some of your favorite matches you've had over the course of your career?
Honestly, man, I would say, like I said, I just wrestled Funny Bone, and that was one of my top favorites.
So that would be
Just
your
the
quintessential
environment
match
that we were
then.
able to put on the match. It was absolutely phenomenal. I was actually getting footage together, so that'll be up on my Facebook here pretty soon.
We're not
A
going to
lot
use
of
the
other
word
matches,
quintessential
like-
again on this show. Just wanted to point that out. We would never
sorry?
use the word quintessential on this show again. It was the word of the day, and it's the word that's dead.
Until Kyle comes back.
Yeah, for the Midwest people and the East Coast people who don't know who Funny Bone is, yo, you have to check this guy out. He's a standout when it comes to his character, his gimmick, what he's doing is huge. And of course, you got to check out the person we have on the line with us, the Pally Prince Salim himself. If
you.
you're not checking him out, what are you doing? Didn't know where to go with that. But no, you said Funny Bone, man. Who else are some of the people you've liked or that you've
Man,
liked to work with, that you've had in your career?
we had a really cool thing going out here with a promotion called Slam U, and it was something unreal to be a part of that company. My tag partner and I, God Ali, him and I used to friggin' tear it up any show we had together out there. Those were always incredible. I can pick any match from that show and that company and still look back on it with fond memories. And I've been in the ring with Val Venus, man, and that was just as a kid looking up and being in that position. It was kind of cool. So I've done a lot of cool things. There's been too many memories to actually go back on with time allocated.
Being a kid, man, I didn't notice how nasty and disgusting wrestling was when I was a kid. I was looking up to a pimp, and I wanted to be a pimp when I was a kid because of The Godfather.
We met him this past weekend as well.
Shout out to Godfather, pimping hoes nationwide.
420 Smoke Train.
Yeah,
on,
roll up
Instagram.
a fatty for this pimp daddy. The money shot was Val Venus's finisher. Now, for those who don't know who Val Venus is, his gimmick was a porno star who came out with a towel on that, kind of eluded that he had nothing else on under the towel. And his finisher was called the money shot. For those of you who don't know what that is, just turn on any porno and just fast forward to the end. All right.
That's one way to get a good look at it, guys.
Giggity. I went there. The views and the opinions expressed by Tony Thunder is not necessarily those of Knockouts
shit.
Between Cops and Podcast Detroit. Everybody take a shot. All right. You're a liar. You don't love Jesus. All right.
Oh, no, here we go.
No, this is a little story. This may be embarrassing on my end, but I went against the Pally Prince and Ali once at CDC. And I don't speak Spanish, so Sal, what does CDC stand for?
Club Deportivo Carlosio.
And what does that mean in Spanish?
Basically, it's like a fight club. It's like a wrestling club. It translates to fight club, but in Spanish, lucha actually comes into meaning fight. Is the actual translation, but it's wrestling. So it's just kind of like a fight club, basically.
Nice. Now, I'm not going to embarrass myself, but if you want to embarrass me, let's go ahead and go through what happened with that match. My partner was Josh Carey, who will be on the show soon. Shout out to Josh Carey. Just to let you all know, I was early in my career. Not too early, but I was early in my career, and I wasn't in the.
You weren't talking like you're early.
See,
Why
Sal
does that not
likes
su-
no,
why
Sal
does
likes to
that
bring
not
this up
surprise me, bro?
because I thought we were just talking shit. Now Sal took it to heart because I was talking shit. I said, I'm gonna blow you up in this match. I was excited. I'm gonna blow you up. I can't wait. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna blow you up in this match, and I'm gonna make sure you're tired. He did that to me. You want to tell him what happened with that, Sal?
I think you're gonna bring this up today. I honestly did not think you were gonna bring this up today, Tony. But if you want me to go ahead and move forward with it, I will gladly do
Let's
so.
not. No.
Too late now. Cat's out of the
plain
bag.
and simple. Tony was he was trying to write a check that his mouth couldn't cash. Or his mouth was
Write
trying
a
to
check
write a
with
check
my
rather
mouth
than
that
his
my
ass
ass
couldn't
couldn't cash.
Excuse me, let me phrase that here. So I was joking with him. I told him, I said, man, I said, let's just go out there, have fun. Let's make it cool. Let's make it this, whatever. Well, we get to the show. He's still going off. I'm like, okay. Well, mind you, I am about a year and a half removed from the Storm Wrestling Academy, from training with Lance. So my cardio was, through the roof at the time in regards to wrestling. And we got into the ring and proceeded to have a match. At which point the finish, Tony decided to change the finish at the end of the match, basically, is what happened.
Oh, God.
It was,
No.
supposed to be,
Okay.
So you're one of them guys,
My
huh?
finish was the running power slam. I was supposed to go for the running power slam, but Tony decided to go for the I'm going to vomit all over the ring.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're blowing chunks, bro.
I didn't blow chunks. It was all water. But, yeah. It was.
Dude, there was a little bit of chunk in there. Just a little bit. There.
But yeah,
You're killing me, Smalls.
that's I thought the finish was supposed to be
was
that.
his face. I wish somebody could have caught a picture, because again, he was going to go for the cover, and I just saw him come over, cheeks flew like a chipmunk. I'm like, this isn't good. I literally just rolled out of the way, and my partner Magad Ali, shout out to him if he's listening right now.
Shout out to Ali.
But he was the one that decided to go ahead and take the hit. And
Good old school boy.
Went ahead and took that finish for us. So. Yeah.
But wait, I do want to say this before we hit the curtain. I was telling you, like, hey, I don't feel the best. I didn't already exerted my energy. And Sal, being a professional and a veteran he is, he said, hey, man, if it comes to a point where you need to go home, just say breadbasket, and we'll know what to do. And halfway through the match, I was already breadbasket. Ali's still whooping my ass. And I'm breadbasket. And in Lucha, for those who don't know, when you're having a tag match, it's always automatically 2 out of 3. No. Was the match 2 out of 3 falls, or did it work that way somehow?
I don't recall it being a 2 out of 3 falls. It might have been, but I don't recall it being a 2 out of 3 falls.
I think it was a 2 out of 3
one
falls,
long
but
fall. I think we went about 15 to 20 minutes if I haven't forgotten.
yeah. And the thing was, in Lucha, when you're having a tag team match, both people on the team have to be eliminated in order for the match to be over. So the first fall, I think you guys won. The first fall you guys won because Josh Carey put me in the corner, and that almost broke you. That shit was fucking hilarious, though. My gimmick is...
Yes, it was.
If you guys don't know, my gimmick is a kid. My character is a child who's lost in his imagination, because in a childhood's imagination, anything is possible, including defeating the biggest monsters out there. But they're celebrating. We're outside the ring upset. Josh Carey puts me in the corner, like literally puts my nose in the corner, and I'm in the corner like a child in timeout. And I look over at Sal. I look over at Sal. He's got this mean mug on his face, like he's ready to fucking explode. He's like, "Get your ass in here," So we get to it, and breadbasket, and shout out to Ali for pulling that schoolboy and taking it home.
Amazing times, man. That was I really did not think I was going into this. I'm like, I wonder if he's going to bring it up. I think I'll stay away from it just because. But you went right in, man. You just went ahead and laid it down for you.
Hey, man. If you can't take one for yourself, you can't take one for anybody else.
So we talked a little
Man,
bit.
at the end of the day, we're grown men in tights wrestling each other, man. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
We can't take each other too.
That's a good
Can't
point.
take others seriously,
Right?
So we talked a little bit about your training. We talked a little bit about the companies you're working for. How many years you've been in the game now, and what are some of your goals here for the near future?
Well, honestly, I started in 2008. 2007 was a pretty rough year for me. I had a lot of personal issues going on, and some way, somehow, 2008 WrestleMania 20. Oh my gosh, WrestleMania 24 in Orlando. I was actually able to make it out after one of the toughest years possible. And I said, if I could make it out here, I could do anything. And I came back with the intent to begin training and start wrestling, because I figured if I had made it out to see Mania in person, I was going to be able to actually get in and do this. So 2008, like I said, I started training. Did everything under the sun, refereeing, music, production for 2 years, and then got into the wrestling aspect in January 2010. In 2012, went up to Canada, trained there. Still in the game, still just got back into it, really. I took about a year off. I had a baby, which is really, really cool.
Congrats.
Thank you. Amazing.
Shout out to
experience.
baby
Absolutely amazing,
Pally.
all the way through and through. Thank you. So I took some time off, and went ahead and got married, had a kid, and did that, and said, you know what, I have some time. I'm going to get back and give this one last shot. So of course, WWE is the end goal. In my opinion, since the very beginning, I always tell everybody, if your main goal isn't to get into WWE, it's a global company. You know what I mean? It's astronomical what they've done. Not to crap on anybody else or any of the other big companies. I would love to work there too. But at the end of the game, WWE is what everybody should strive for, and that WrestleMania main event is what everybody should strive for. So that's the goal. Whether I get close to it or not, I'm still going to go out there and try.
So speaking of that, Tony mentioned that you'd been at the Performance Center. If you're able to talk about that at all, I mean, feel free to.
The Performance Center, actually, I hadn't made it down. I was in talks a few years ago to go down there. I got the email and everything, and I don't know what happened, but it just didn't work out the way it was supposed to. So I haven't got down there yet, but hopefully in the near future, I'll have my shot to shine and get down there.
That's what's up. And you mentioned that you were at WrestleMania. I was at the WrestleMania the year before.
Take a shot. Well, Devin, that's Devin's line. Devin was at
okay.
WrestleMania. Take
See,
a shot.
I was at
Devin.
WrestleMania.
You watching? I know you are.
I was at WrestleMania the year before that one, and I also went down to because it was here in Detroit, and I was also at WrestleMania this past year.
And he's going next year.
Yeah, I'm going this year. So speaking,
Nice, very cool.
yeah, I mean it was cool, man. It was just it was cool to get to go down there, all that kind of stuff. But being somebody that's in the game now, like what was it like for you now that you look back on that experience? What are some of the things you're real fond of that experience now that you're in the game?
Wrestling, a lot of people knock wrestling. A lot of people knock professional wrestling. You hear all the time, oh, you do that fake shit, quote unquote.
Wrestling's not
and
fake!
You look at something like WrestleMania, and you see not just WrestleMania in general, but just a show. And you invoke reaction from the people around you and from the crowd. And depending on what's going on in front of them, if they react, that means they're reacting. The reaction is real. Whether it's a show or not, dude, it doesn't matter what we're doing inside the ring to put on this, to put on the show for you guys. It's more of, the experience of being a part of it, to experience the up and down roller coaster, that emotion, the joy of seeing your favorite wrestler win a championship, or, the shock of seeing Undertaker lose at WrestleMania. It's kind of unbelievable when you look at that. That's why I look at it and say wrestling is real.
Absolutely. Telling a story with our bodies. People say wrestling is fake,
Exactly.
but they watch Star Wars and see Vader get his hand cut off and they lose their mind about that. Or they find out that, something happened in a movie that they didn't see coming and they lose their mind about that and go crazy about it. Professional wrestling is that to a times 10 level, because we're telling that story with our bodies. We're enduring pain for the satisfaction of getting one off, the money shot.
Well, and I mean, my thing with that, dude, is before I say it, here you go, take a shot. I've fought.
Take a shot.
I just said, I already told you. See, I was already on top of the ball. See, you're a little late.
And Devin was there.
But yeah. So I've fought, boxing, that kind of stuff, and it's like I've been a wrestling fan my entire life before I ever started fighting or anything of the sort. So it's like you always hear, especially as a kid, you always hear, "Oh man, you're into that fake shit, and it's so stupid." And dude, like
Wrestling is real, people is fake.
at the end of the day, bro, I mean, I've always hated they're not athletes. Dude, get the fuck out of here.
Bullshit.
Okay.
Sal, are you an athlete?
I am definitely an athlete.
I've always hated that shit, man. And it's like, I think it's cool now with like the way that wrestling's evolved now, as opposed to like if you watch it back from like back in the 80s when Hogan was around.
Yeah.
It's hard to really use that argument of these guys aren't.
It was real back then.
Yeah, like it's hard to really use the argument anymore of, oh, well, they're not athletes. Look, dude, you watch, take NXT for example. You watch any NXT show or watch any of the takeovers and tell me those guys aren't athletes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you brought up something that I want to get into. The progression of wrestling. I noticed that a lot of the old school vets, they hate the way wrestling is going, and the whole super kick. Oh no, it's not a finisher anymore. Don't do it. That whole thing. But if you look at the 80s to where wrestling was in the 90s, even to where it is now, Sal, what do you think about the progression of wrestling itself?
You know, this topic comes up in every single podcast, every article that I read, and I look at it basically in one way. It's a buffet. If you want to see strong style, you go subscribe to New Japan. If you want to, see the acrobatic, Ring of Honor styles, ROH, you go and subscribe to them and you look at them. You want to watch Takara, you want whatever you want to watch. It's up to you. The thing about wrestling is wrestling. It's subjective. Depending on what you look at as a fan or as a wrestler in the business, the progression of it, I don't like them doing all these flippy doos and doing all these finishes. Okay, well, don't watch that match. Don't watch that wrestler. If you're watching a Will Ospreay match, you're going to get that type of wrestling in his match. That's
Absolutely.
his style. That's what they pay him to do. If you don't want to see that, go watch, somebody who's more of a strong style. If you look at the Japanese, you look at like an Okada who is still extremely, athletic, but, does more of a strong style. There's many, facets of wrestling that you can get into, and people arguing over this. At the end of the day, it's still wrestling. At the end of the day, there's still those matches out there that you can watch that are going to be, the crazy high flying stuff or the, grounded, more of a brawling feel.
Absolutely. And we have every pro wrestling guest I say that's come on here. We have this kind of have a list going. It kind of started with me and Sean, and Movado went into deeper detail. And as Kyle mentioned, Booker T and Eric Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard kind of went into it a little bit. We have a list of locker room etiquette. And with you being the vet that you are, one of the things we have on there is don't bring your Humor Tornado. Don't bring your kids and your girlfriend in the locker room. Don't do that. Shout out to Humor Tornado.
Hand is another
Shaking
one.
everybody's hand was what Movado touched on. What is something that you would add to the locker room etiquette rules?
Well, if hygiene isn't on there, that would be the first one, first and foremost.
Oh
Definitely.
my God, and that's one that
go with.
hot damn. I'm so glad you said that. And this is totally a sidebar because obviously I haven't done pro wrestling, but I'll never forget it as long as I live. The first jiu-jitsu tournament I ever fought in, this kid that I had to fight, his gi smelled so fucking bad.
He probably did it on purpose.
About made me puke, and I'm like, so how is it fair that I gotta fight this motherfucker and his gi smells like shit?
Yeah, he smells
And I'm
like day old cabbage.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't wanna forfeit, so I fought him anyway. But then that's the first I caught staph infection because of that asshole.
That's nasty.
That's
Oh my God.
Now, I know you don't really have to go into detail about hygiene as far as that being on the list, but is there anything that you experienced as far as hygiene goes as to why you would put it on the list personally?
Honestly, man, there's been the locker rooms that you go into are sometimes, they're vast. You got a lot of amenities and you got all this luxury around you. Other times you go in, you're changing in a broom closet.
Yeah.
And if you got 50 guys changing in a broom closet, there's bound to be, some kind of scent, some kind of smell. It's just out of respect. You know what I mean? But going to the one you mentioned, the shake everybody's hand or the shake hands, I look at that one as just as important because you got to respect everybody around you. From the music, the production, doing everything I've done, behind the scenes, we get overlooked. You look at it and those guys are getting overlooked. So going to shake their hands and going to say hello to them, it might make their day, all these people walking right by him, but the dude put on your music, he has a cue to hit. And if he doesn't hit that cue, you're going to mess up your entrance or it's not going to be as grand as you want it to be and you're going to come back screaming at him. But did you pay attention to him when you walked in the door?
Right.
Did you say bye to him, when he left? Because he's just as important, the production team.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff you can go into, in regards to locker room etiquette. But those two, hygiene and just shaking everybody's hand, is being respectful to everybody around you, everybody that's part of the show.
Not to mention they could be the one to help you out. If you got something
never
that you're
know
trying to
who's
get
who
over
in the locker room. You never know who's who. You can go ahead, man.
I
I
agree,
wasn't
I agree
cutting you
100%.
off. I'm looking at the producer.
What we got time left?
What? I just showed a 3-minute form.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay, Kyle.
Cool,
you had me thinking we were done.
No, you're all good. No,
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
saying I didn't know if you had any.
All right, we about to hit some rapid questions right quick. Let the people know who Sal is. Pepsi or Coke?
Oh shit!
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. McDonald's or Burger King?
Diet Coke. McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Oh hell!
Here or there?
Unless you're talking about the chicken sandwich, then Burger King chicken sandwich, you can't beat that.
Hey, the 2 for $5. 2 for $5. Hit him with something, Kyle.
There
Let's
you go.
see. WWE guy, or you like New Japan stuff, or
WWE, man.
otherwise?
I watch both. I definitely watch both. I subscribe to New Japan. I've been listening to Don Callis on commentary.
That was another
hilarious.
question
He's
I
awesome.
had for you. I'm glad you brought that up. You said you trained at Lance's school. Did you train at all with Don Callis out there?
I actually did not get to meet the Halliburton Cowboy himself, though I wish I did. He seems like a very interesting character. Seems like a very cool dude, and knows a lot about the business. I'd love to pick his brain.
Any thoughts on him and Scott D'Amore being the new heads over there at Impact?
Honestly, anything's possible. You got two of those guys. They're great minds. They have great minds for the business. If they can just get it going and get themselves out of the the shitstorm that they've been in, then they can definitely do something with it. There's talent up the wazoo over there. It's just they got to figure out how to own it.
Sure.
Business-wise, just the business side of things that need to come into place.
And I don't know about you, man, but I think, me personally, I think they need to drop that whole Impact name. Like, I think that shit needs to go. I think it needs to be something totally different because that name is kind of. Been
It turns
shit.
fans off when
It's
they see.
been
I can
kinda
understand
shit all,
that.
It's kind of
I
been
can
shit all
understand
over
that.
at this point because they got plenty of talent. One of which, Congo Kong, which we're gonna have on the show next week.
Shout out to Congo Kong for being here next week. Chips or popcorn?
I mean, I'm looking at the name. Like they changed the name to Impact in 2010, right? Wasn't that the big thing when Hogan and Bischoff
Yep.
Yeah.
came in back in 2000? They changed the name. I mean, you look back at TNA, and you can say, oh, the best TNA rivalries. You got Ricky Styles and Samoa Joe. You got everything that Jeff Jarrett would put himself into. Was TNA from the get-go. When they changed it, I think is when the downfall began because they tried rebranding themselves when there wasn't necessarily a need to concede and rebrand themselves, in my opinion.
Or look at it now, where you had Jeff Jarrett. You spoke about Jeff Jarrett. He came back in. They changed it to Global Force, and then he was gone. And now you're back to Impact again. But then they were still doing the green ropes for a little while, and it's like,
They still had the titles for a little while too.
yeah, and they are the same titles. All they did was change the Impact. They changed the plate from GWF to GFW to Impact plate. So it's like, I mean,
Well,
that's my
don't
thing.
they tape like? Sorry to interject, but don't they tape like 3 to 4 weeks in advance?
Yeah,
Which
and
is
that's why,
horrible.
like they've
Wrestlers
got.
that debuted on Takeover.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. They got EC3 on there that's already been debuted on Takeover, or Lashley, who's openly in talks with WWE now.
They had a episode where Bobby Roode came back for one, I guess, last hurrah or whatever, and they were like, he is the NXT champion. I said, can they do that? Not only can they do that, why are they doing that?
That's like some
Why
Eric
are you
Bischoff
taking
shit.
over
but on accident,
another
but-
company?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the business side of things. I don't think they really get. McDonald's doesn't go out there and say, hey, Burger King just made a really amazing sandwich. Go check it out. Well, why are you sending me to go see Bobby Roode, who I've been watching for 15 years in TNA?
That you didn't
and
do
now
anything
you send me to
with.
go watch him in NXT. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now he's on SmackDown, so now I'm going to go switch to that product instead of watching yours.
There you go.
It's just the business side of things. I think is where Impact or TNA, whatever you want to call them, where it failed. In
So
my opinion.
I just want to thank you so much for coming on. We're definitely going to have you on again because I enjoyed
Definitely.
the conversation when we have more of a all wrestling based episode.
This
before we-
isn't goodbye. This is to be continued.
So long for now, but how about you throw out your social media and
One more
time and let the fans know where they can find you.
Well, first off, thank you to you guys. I really appreciate being on. This
Thank
is
you, man.
really cool. I just got turned on to this. I went ahead and shared it. Hopefully, more people are going to be jumping on because this is
Get
really
on the
cool. You guys are
bandwagon
doing
now,
big things. So
motherfuckers!
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you guys.
We appreciate
But like
it.
I said, yeah, you can go find me. Go look for Salim Ali, the Pally Prince on Facebook. You can look up the Pally Prince on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm on there. You pretty much find out what shows I'm on, and hit me up there for bookings and whatnot.
Go follow him, like the page, hit him up for bookings. I'm knocking shit over again.
Yeah, and be on the lookout for
Down.
yeah,
Very good.
and be on the lookout for those interviews we talked about earlier, aforementioned with Booker T, Bruce
Eric
Pritchard, and
Eric Pritchard.
Eric Pritchard.
His name is not Eric Pritchard.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff. Tony's lost it. Tony's out the building over here. But thank you for coming on, man. This has been a great episode. Be on the lookout. We'll have the edited version up soon. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Later.
Later. Play the music.
I got
He was like, oh shit, Eric Pritchard.
Oh shit, Tony's off the rails. It's fucked.
Eric Pritchard, ladies and gentlemen.